Michael Hernandez of MLH Media and Valley Fight News, and I'm here with Cody Gibson, the Renegade out of Visalia, California, but now he is staying in the San Luis Obispo area. How you doing today, brother?
Doing good, man. I had a full day of work, then coaching, and now winding down with the kids, getting them ready for bed, and then going to the gym after that. So the day's not done yet, but it's been every day's a pretty full.
Yeah, no, you've been grinding away, man. I feel anybody that's following your social media, and of course, if you guys have not followed him yet, the Renegade 559, he always had some pretty interesting insights. I love that post he had yesterday on Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon both getting let go on the same day. You're like, no, it's definitely not what I was expecting. But yeah, you're definitely a humorous guy. So if you anybody that is interested in the Renegade's career, man, go ahead and give him that follow. But I just found it very interesting because I mean, the first time I ever talked to you, you were one of my first ever MMA fighters I really got to talk to in the area, and then you've blossomed. I mean, you obviously were a huge star in your own right, but you have just seemed to do everything right. I mean, going from UNF, winning the bantamweight title over there, and then now this whole trajectory with the Ultimate Fighter. Did you want to kind of give us a little bit more information on that? Because I'm very excited to watch this upcoming season.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I spent 8 years outside the UFC after I was in the UFC 8 years ago, and just grinding away, fighting where I could fight, who I could fight, trying to find the best guys outside the organization to just make a statement. So I didn't even know if the UFC was ever going to be on my radar again. I'm 35 years old. I've done well outside the UFC, fought some big name guys, had some big wins, but I just thought maybe I'm too old. They always want to get all these young 22-year-olds off the Contender Series is kind of their business model, it seems like these days. So, just the stars sometimes align in life and things happen for a reason, and I just was lucky, man. They called me and said they were doing a show, the upcoming season of the Ultimate Fighter. The theme of the show was gonna be veterans versus prospects. And I was one of the two weight classes. Bantamweights was one of the two weight classes that were gonna be on the show. So the stars kind of aligned for me at the right time. I wasn't really sure, what I know I was getting tired of fighting on the regional scene. I've been doing it for 8 years for the most part, I mean, I've still fought all over the country, but it was always smaller shows. Um, Eagle FC, I had that one and done with them, and then they kind of went under, at least in the States. So, yeah, I was kind of just not sure what my next move was going to be. Um, and I was just tired of fighting for, not a ton of money. Um, and so happy to get the call back from the UFC and get the opportunity to be on the show, and met a lot of great people on the show. Um, made a lot of connections with coaches and different people around the country and even the world that are friends now. And, I got places to go and people to visit. So that's always nice, Um, and yeah, I'm happy to be home though. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, the Central Coast definitely always shows you a lot of love. And I mean, the guys back at the pit, I'm pretty sure we're happy to see their training partner and friend come back home. And I mean, just get us through the head of Cody Gibson when you get that call from the UFC office asking you to be on the show, because I'm pretty sure that was an exhilarating feeling that you had, as you said, no idea kind of coming in the rafters. And then this season's obviously going to be a huge one. I mean, you're going to be on it. Conor McGregor's going to be on it. Michael Chandler's going to be on it. It's going to be a great season of TUF. So kind of walk us through how everything went down, how you got the offer, how you even got in the TUF house. Get us through everything, man.
Yeah, I actually got a random DM in my Instagram from somebody, and they said they were with the UFC and just kind of said that this was their theme and they were interested in interviewing me for the show. And at first, I was kind of taken back, like, well, wait a second. And I've dealt with the UFC in the past, and it's never through a DM on social media, So that was a little weird. I was transitioning management teams, so they didn't know who to contact. So that's why I got an Instagram DM. They didn't know who to contact. And so once I reached out to my manager and was like, hey, is this legit? and then they set up an interview, and then I interviewed with them, and then they told me, you didn't get on the show. So I was like, God damn it. Because I actually tried out for the Ultimate Fighter many years ago. The season that Chris Holdsworth won. I can't remember the name. It was like 22 or something like that. But I'd driven out to Vegas for the tryouts. I get to Vegas, and there's 300 plus fighters in the lobby of this hotel, this casino hotel, from all over the world. And I go through all the tryouts. I make it through all the rounds of the tryouts. You had to grapple somebody. I got like 5 submissions. You had to hit pads. You had to do interviews, all to boil it down to who's going to be on the show. And I made it through all of that. Then I was told, you're on the show. They kept me in Vegas for a week doing medicals, and then they sent us all home and said, okay, the show's going to start airing in 4 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever it was. And the only thing that some of us knew during that week in Vegas while we did all the medicals was, hey, wait a second, there's like 12 of us here, and I'm pretty sure there's only 8 people on the show. So we kind of felt like there might be some alternates that were being told otherwise.
Yeah.
Uh, and then sure enough, I was sitting in a classroom, substitute teaching at the time, and I get a random text from a random number from the UFC, and it said, you didn't make it on the show. So that was my prior experience with TUF. And then, to have it essentially, or at least originally, it happened again where they interviewed me and it didn't want me. It was just irritating. And then I was also like, what North American fighter has a better credential at bantamweight outside the UFC than me?
Yeah, yeah. I've,
Uh,
I've I've been saying that for a while, man. I've been riding the Cody Gibson hype train for a while. I've been saying that you were the last guy to take Aljamain to a solid 3 rounds, and that guy's been tearing through everybody at 135. So I mean, I feel like, sorry to interrupt you, but you were more than eligible. So shame on them for not taking you on that first round, man, because you're definitely more than deserving. But continue. That's absolutely insane to me that they wouldn't take you.
yeah, and sometimes those decisions for the Ultimate Fighter, are really up to producers and what they're trying to, whatever vision they have for the show, whatever that is, and sometimes you don't fit in that vision. So, but I was pretty frustrated. But then I just like, okay, well, I guess nothing's really changed. I'm still trying to find a fight, trying to get signed by a bigger organization. And so I just was still training and just kind of waiting. And then about a week later, my manager called me and said, never mind, you're on the show. And Pat, by the way, pack your bags. You guys leave Monday. And for me, I was like, oh crap, I've got to talk to my boss, try to figure out how I'm going to get 6 weeks off work. Um, ask my wife what she thinks about it and whether it's like something we could even do. And obviously, I wanted to take advantage of the opportunity, but I had to figure some life stuff out. And then, as the weekend approached and we were supposed to be leaving that following Monday, I'm trying to scramble and get all this stuff done. And then I get a call and says, "Hey, they're postponing it. Connor's postponing it." In some ways, and maybe rightfully so, I don't know, but it was the Conor McGregor show.
Yeah.
And so he couldn't be out there in time, so they postponed it a whole week. And so that actually was a blessing in disguise for me because it gave me time to organize my life and kind of get things in order. And to train. I hadn't been like training for a fight. I'm still in the gym every day and everything, but I'm not like pushing my lungs every day and going like 1,000% and really, getting extra workouts in and strength and conditioning stuff all the time. And the stuff you do when you're getting ready for a fight. So it gave me an extra week to prepare too. And so, yeah, it all worked out. And then we go to Vegas and they've got us in a hotel near the airport doing medicals all week. But of course, there's 12, 15, 16 guys there that are in your weight class. So they're bringing alternates to Vegas to do the medicals in case someone drops off. Because of medicals, we didn't know who the alternates were, who the set cast was supposed to be. And then Connor kind of came in and added a couple of his guys at the end, and that threw things into a spiral for some guys too. There's a couple of guys that I became buddies with that didn't make it on the show. I felt bad for them. I felt bad for them because they were under the same impression as myself that we were going to be on the show. So, yeah, it was a nerve-wracking week in Vegas, sitting in a hotel, and they let us keep our phones while we were in the hotel, But we didn't have like uh we couldn't leave our room without an escort. So like
Ooh,
we
dang.
were essentially prisoners in our hotel room,
Yeah.
alone,
No, you guys were
alone
locked
and
in.
isolate, just alone, isolated in a hotel room by yourself. And the only times you can leave are when you had a medical appointment. They would send us in vans of like four guys at per place. Or if you got to work out twice a day. And the first workout was a run. So you could go run on the street for a few, get a few miles in. And then the second workout, we could go to the hotel gym. And then they started bringing in some pad holders and a bag. So we started being able to do a little bit of, actual martial arts training just on our own. But it was always solo. And so it was kind of that first week was pretty, kind of a mind, tested you mentally. Um, and so, yeah, after all of that, we finally figure out, okay, we're on the show. And then the next thing we knew we were in, getting in the vans and heading to the house. So, pretty crazy, just kind of start to the whole thing. And, and yeah, just a crazy experience in general. The whole thing was a lot more than I anticipated in some ways. But really something I think that all of the guys that are on the show, and we've talked about it, we're in a group chat. We talk to each other all the time still. Um, but I think we all took away from it that this was an experience that we're gonna have that we're never gonna have again. And to enjoy that experience, enjoy all of the parts of it, the good, the bad, the ugly. And yeah, man, it was a great experience overall. And I'm excited for people to watch it. I'm excited to see how it was kind of put together, how you piece it all together. Um, and it's going to be on the big ESPN. This is the first year TUF isn't on like the streaming service ESPN Plus, or even back in the day on other networks, but it's going to be on the big ESPN. So it's going to be the biggest season as far as viewership goes, at least maybe probably ever. So yeah, pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's gonna be a huge season. I mean, when I heard you were on it, I was so excited. And then obviously once they announced the coaching staff, Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler, those are two huge names.
All the coaches invested more into the team than I anticipated they would. But I mean, I don't know why I didn't anticipate it as much as I did. It ended up being, because they were all competitors. And if you're a competitor and you have a mentality where you want to win, and not even just win, but just the mentality of like everything I do in my life, I'm gonna put forth my best effort doing, whether that's playing a game of cards, or whether that's coaching on the Ultimate Fighter, or fighting, or whatever the case may be. Whatever it is I'm doing in life, I'm putting my best feet forward. I'm not going to half-ass it. And so that's the approach they had. And like I said, met some great coaches, some lifelong friendships that I have now with different coaches and teammates. Um, yeah, it was a special experience for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, it was kind of, I'm pretty sure, a little weird being without those pit guys, because that posse, it's almost like you guys run together always. You, Benuelos, and Jason, all those guys. Whenever I'm just so used to seeing that fight camp. So tell us a little bit about how it was being away from everybody. I know you touched a little bit on being away from your family, but kind of having to transition from having a whole different coaching staff. Because I mean, I know you've been with those guys at the pit for quite a while now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a level of comfort and security and confidence that you get when you have your people, your coaches with you. Um, but I felt like I was trying to take advantage of the opportunity to get to train in new ways with new people. Um, I don't draw, my confidence always comes from my work ethic, and like that's where my confidence comes from. It's not anything like, oh, I think I'm so much faster than everyone, or oh my god, I'm so much better in this way or that way. It's always like, no, my confidence comes from the fact that I make sure that I work really hard so that I'm in better shape than you, that I've been more focused than you, that all those things, those are kind of things that you need to do to be successful. And being able to just train with other people. I mean, yeah, it sucks kind of not having your normal coaches there, but it was also, the same old. My confidence, I was working hard, training hard, learning, growing. And so the confidence was still there, even without, some of the voices that you're used to being in your corner. It was weird, man. That was, I guess, what I thought more than anything was like, it's a 6 weeks in the house, and you know, um, you're not gonna build that much of a relationship with people in 6 weeks. It's not a long time. But then, like, you're there and you're living it with them, and you're experiencing this life with them, and you're all kind of in it together because everybody's not comfortable. Everyone's not at home in their home gyms with their home coaches and their home teammates. We were all kind of in this together, you know. You talk about like a team. It's kind of like almost like a team mentality. Even though we had two teams in the house, we were all experiencing it together. The coaches were experiencing it in some ways. The fighters were experiencing it in some ways. Um, but think about like a high school or college sports team, or even like the military. Like the bond that's built between the guys or the girls or whatever is built because you go through the trenches with each other. You know what I mean? And so it was definitely that mentality in the house, was that we all kind of knew, coaches, fighters, everybody, that this was a unique experience, a mental warfare kind of experience where you were gonna get tested mentally, um, and not having access to the outside world. It was a very small bubble you were living in, and day after day of that, week after week of that, does get trying on you. So yeah, I think there was just an overall like general, even though there was definitely competition amongst the teams in the house, there was definitely chit chat and jawing back and forth and at different times about different things. There was still a level of respect that everybody had for each other, and I think that we all, the whole house is like I said, still in a group chat. Almost 2 months later now, still talking to each other all the time, and excited to see this thing play out on national TV together.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys are all just waiting in your shoes, man. Just excited to kind of watch how everything's going to come together, as you said. But it's almost like you guys, just to touch on what you were saying earlier, found comfort in the discomfort of being together. Because I mean, obviously, you guys are all being away from home. You guys are being away from your families, being away from fight teams. So finding that comfort and being with each other, and it's almost like how you said, that college team esque, being with the guys. And I'm pretty sure it was very much a different atmosphere from living with your wife and your girls at home, because it's a lot of guys and they're all hungry, and I'm pretty sure a lot of them are different ages, so it's a whole different plethora of things getting mixed into a bag. But I really appreciate your time here, Cody. You're an awesome fighter, and even an awesome, like even a more awesome guy to talk to. So I really appreciate you coming on the show today. But was there any moments that you really wanted to highlight during the TUF experience? Because I know you obviously got to kind of keep everything really tongue-in-cheek within the house and within the results, but was there any words or any insight that you really carried outside of your fight career? Because I know you said this was a great learning experience for you, and maybe was there anything you wanted to share with potential fighters or even fans that just needed a word of wisdom?
As weird as this is to say, because I've been fighting for a long time and I've been fighting a lot of good guys for a long time, but I've never trained at like really mega gyms with like 50 pro fighters and huge. I've never been at for long periods of time at Alpha Male or AKA or ATT or some of these big gyms with tons of fighters around. Uh, and so I've always, you know, I guess, questioned myself to some degree because you didn't see that around you every day. Um, and you didn't see the level of competition and some of that stuff. So for me, it was just a confidence booster when I'm in the room with these guys every day and we're training. And I'm like, damn, I think I hold up pretty well with these guys. It was cool, man. It was cool to get to train with. They often say iron sharpens iron, and being around so many high level guys that had either been in the UFC or up and coming guys that are some of the top prospects was just cool for me. Like I said, I got a lot of. I'm making my summer plans right now, going to visit one of the guys from the show and train with him at a bigger gym, and doing some things. It is nice to get out and get to train with other guys and see different styles and different perspectives on things. I mean, there were guys in the house that were, A level grapplers. There were guys in the house that were, predominantly from striking backgrounds. Other guys like myself, more wrestling backgrounds. And then how we all mix it together and just being able to pick each other's brains, and learn. Um, I'm not like crazy like martial arts guy, like bowing and everything to people, like that kind of guy, but I do believe it's like a constant pursuit, right? Like it's just a constant pursuit of knowledge. And obviously you got to have ability and you got to drill, you got to do all these things to make it happen, but as a martial artist, I think you're in a constant pursuit of knowledge and understanding and learning different things. And so I approached it that way and I try to take as much from it as I can. And, no matter how many years I've been fighting or how old I get, like I'm still going to always be learning. So it's always fun for me. So that was probably my biggest takeaway was just getting to kind of experience different types of training and different mentalities and draw from it, and bring it home with me and back to it with my guys in the pit and we're excited to keep moving forward.
Yeah, you're a true student to the game, as they would say. Even at all the experience that you've garnered. I mean, you fought just to touch on some of the people that you fought. I mean, you fought Ray Borg, Josh Dodson, Aljamain Sterling. That's just the name off the top of my head. And those are guys that you fought as of recent. I just wanted to also touch on you coming back to the Central Coast because I mean, I'm pretty sure as soon as you came back, there was people. Oh my gosh, what happened? How was it? And I know that you're a substitute teacher, so kind of give us just a glimpse of coming back after that whole TUF experience. And have you been getting just blundered with questions, or have a lot of people just been getting at you lately about the whole experience?
Oh, I'm not a substitute teacher. I've been teaching full time for 8 years.
Oh, there we
Uh,
go. There we go. Okay,
yeah,
my correction. Sorry about
I
that.
used I subbed for a number of years when I was, like 22, 23, and then I've been full time teaching now for 8 years. So, um, yeah, a lot of people want to know the results or have a lot of questions. Uh, it's hard because you can't say much, they want to know how you did, and that sort of stuff. And so, you just can't say much. And, you say it was a great experience. It went well. Looking forward to, you guys watching the show and seeing how it unfolds. It's kind of hard, because you don't want I'm not like a fake person,
Yeah, no,
I'm
you're a
not
very honest guy.
like,
and that's just to anybody that's never talked to you. You're super honest, so I can only imagine how tough it is for you to keep this. And this is such a big thing for you. I mean, I know you probably want to share this with everybody and kind of show that a kid from Visalia could do it, man. Because you've been at this MMA game for a while.
it was funny because mostly even the veterans that were in the house, like, hey, when did you leave the UFC? They all were in the UFC within like the last year or two, and they're like, "What about you?" I was like, 8 years ago. Like, dude, I've been grinding for 8 years trying to get back there, and
Yeah,
so I was like unique, that I was like they were like, "Damn, like you've been on the regional scene for that long fighting," and I'm like, "Yeah, man, I just keep going," but yeah, I don't know.
sure.
I'm happy to get the opportunity, and like I said, it was a good experience. And man, it feels like it's taken forever to come on TV, but it's coming up here about 5 weeks from tonight, actually. So
Yeah, it's gonna be a good premiere, man. I'm really excited for it. And then just give everybody the information. I mean, it's gonna be on ESPN. It's gonna be you said 6 weeks from now. It's gonna be or 4 weeks from now, May.
5 weeks. So it's
5 weeks.
May 30th. It's gonna be coming on ESPN May 30th. It's Tuesday nights, I believe, at 8 p.m. Pacific time, but don't quote me on that. But I want to say 8 p.m. It's like prime time, it's like the
Yeah.
show.
No,
So,
that's
yeah, I know it's Tuesday nights starting May 30th, and I'm pretty sure 8 p.m. But yeah, it's gonna be
we'll
it'll be
make
good. It's
sure.
gonna run for 12 weeks, so pretty much all summer, every Tuesday night.
Yeah, we'll make sure to double check on that, and I'll make sure to throw up a picture of the promo pic that they have, if they even have any yet for the tough season. But I'll make sure to throw up that date and the official time that the show goes on, just so any fans that are watching the interview today get the chance to go ahead and watch you in action. But any last shout outs that you wanted to give, Cody? Because I mean, you've obviously, as I stated before, you're a pioneer in this game. You have had so many coaches, so much people that I'm pretty sure you want to thank. Was there anybody within this last year or within this process that has really just stuck out to you, and you really wanted to point them out?
Well, in the context of talking about this whole experience on Tough and everything like that, I gotta give the biggest shout out to my wife for taking my children and raising them as a single parent for 6 weeks. Um, while she works full time and they're busy kids with sports and practices and school, obviously. And yeah, man, she it was as much of a sacrifice for her as it was for me. And yeah, so that's my big shout out for the whole experience was couldn't have done it without her because I know it wasn't easy.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure those kids of yours were giving her a handful at times, but you know, she did it for you. So that really does show the amount of love that she has for you and your guys' relationship. But I just
100.
wanted to also touch up on the fact that of your teaching and everything like that. Have you had any students kind of want to follow in your footsteps, perhaps? Because I know this is a little bit of a random question, but I mean, I'm pretty sure 8 years in this MMA game, have you had any students kind of be like, you know, Mr. Gibson, I want to do what you do. I want to go fight on the MMA scene.
Yeah, I've had quite a few actually. I've gotten few of the kids into like kickboxing, or obviously I try to get a lot of them into wrestling, to start them there. And a few of them have like are training. They're out of high school now or whatever, and they're training martial arts and want to fight. But I mean, all the kids I've coached over the years, like or even had in class, but especially coached, like I've had Marines, I've had sorts of kids who have done all sorts of things in life. So it's always good to see you have a positive impact on kids' lives, or where kids come to you and they're 23, 24 years old, and they're like, "Hey, I just want to let you know that the time you spent with me and the things you kind of helped me with, like maybe they didn't become like NCAA Division I All American wrestlers, but like that helped me get through college because you taught me like how to do hard things. And at the end of the day, like that's my message I'm trying to give to all these kids is like get used to doing hard things that other people aren't willing to do, and no matter how strong you are, how fast you are, how smart you are, it doesn't really matter if you're focused and you're willing to do things that other people aren't willing to do and do hard things. If you have that mentality and you're able to build those kind of disciplined tools, you can be successful. And so, if you're a kid like me who didn't have much, that's the message I try to preach to them. And yeah, but all these kids, man, they don't shut up. They're like, "Hey, tell me, Mr. Gibson, did you win? I won't tell anyone." Like, I'm like, you're the last person on earth that I would tell this to.
That's a little bit of the Frazier in you coming out, man. That I'm never ever saying anything to you guys, but I just wanted to touch on that, man, because your story. I'm gonna make sure to link that article I wrote on you for your first time, man. But your story always inspires me. Just coming from the roots of Visalia, we both came from that same area. You were on the skate parks growing up as a kid, you know, skating and then going into wrestling and then eventually just going and training at a local gym in Visalia and getting into MMA, man. And look at where you are now. So it's absolutely awesome that you've continued this path and you're going to continue it. And I know you're just going to continue blazing your own flame, man, because you have a great way of going about things, and I'm very confident that you're going to keep on making some big strides, brother. So I'm very proud of you. I just wanted to point out this last minute and just really give you your flowers, man, because you've really been doing it big, and we can't wait to all watch you on TUF, man. It's gonna be a great time.
Hey, you too, man. You've been killing it, doing your thing. It's been cool to see you kind of going from just starting out, and then all of a sudden I see you on this thing. I see you on this thing. You're all over the place. So keep it up, man. You're getting better and better at what you do. And I always try to encourage everybody. If we raise each other up, that's what it's about. So
Yes, sir. Exactly. Two guys from Visalia just out here trying to make it, my man. And
yep,
I really appreciate your time today, Cody. You're the man. Anytime you want to come on here, you know there's always a spot for you. And I can't wait till we get another rolling at the pit because it's always fun getting to pick your brain, my brother.
for sure. Good
All
talking to you,
right.
brother. See you
All
later.
right. May 30th, make sure to catch my boy Cody Gibson on The Ultimate Fighter. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be 12 weeks long. So you're going to have the whole summer to go ahead and binge that thing and make sure to tune in, man. I'm guaranteeing you it's going to be worth your guys' time. Michael Hernandez of MLH Media and Now Valley Fight News signing out with our man, Cody Gibson, the Renegade.
See you guys.